Hey, welcome back to 5 reasons your practice isn't growing. So now you know, from the video 1, you know what the 5 reasons are. Excuse me. And then in this video, I want us to do a little deeper dive. Ready? Because I'm going to give you some bold ass truths here. The very first one was about being old school in developing multiple streams of revenue. So I understand that you're in your practice and you go in and you think, well, I'll just get paneled on all of these insurance companies, etc. And the truth is that you can do that, of course, but there's some limitations as opposed to if you went the route of private pay, if you went the route of maybe adding coaching to your practice, if you went the route of creating programs that you could automate on your website. I want you to think about your website as like an ATM, a cash machine, and an electronic or a digital business card, right? When people go to your website, do they understand what you're doing and who you are helping? And also, is there something that they can buy there? And I don't care whether it's like an ebook that you put on Kindle on Amazon. Like, what is there in action? Because there's the psychology of people saying yes to you. But back to, old school building your business. There's so many different possibilities now instead of just being on a panel. One of the things I love teaching is actually how to get speaking opportunities that allow you to be in front of your perfect ideal client. Now, why is this important? Because frankly, if you specializing is is number 3. So these are all kind of overlap. Let me just say the 5, and then in case I weave them all together. Old school, one marketing or revenue stream, winging it, not having a plan, not having a system, total failure. You will not grow, period. Not specializing, being a generalist, no. Money mindset, huge. And typically your money mindset has actually to do with being old school and just thinking about insurance. And number 5 is not getting help. Hello. Not getting help is ridiculous. You're in an industry of helping. It doesn't make sense for you not to help. But let's go back to number 1, winging it. So different avenues. So there's 2, being able to grow your practice. You could also bring in other practitioners of whatever therapy or specialty that you have. Bring in auxiliary people who are complementary, right? Complementary practices so that everything kind of overlaps. So that's one way that you could have kind of a group practice model, or you could even do group sessions. So we have group sessions, we have adding coaching, we have adding more practitioners, maybe they're augmentation of what you do, right? Not necessarily competing, but they're supportive roles, so that if somebody saw you, maybe then they need to go over here to see Sally for another little piece of the puzzle. What is your website looking like? Is it a revenue generating machine? Is it? What about speaking opportunities, right? Speaking opportunities. So it's all of these different things for you to be looking at that. Today, you're not going to make the kind of money that you want to make. And I'm hoping that you want to make big money. This is one of the issues, your money mindset. Your goal should be to think about making big money. When I'm saying that, if you get triggered and you're thinking, Mary, it's all about the money. No, it's not all about the money. It's all about helping people and making a difference in their lives. You're not helping anyone when you are playing small. The more money that you have, the bigger your life can be, and the more impact you have, the more reach you have. Even if you want to reinvest the money that you make into your business to build your practice even bigger. But in order for you to have a life that brings you so much joy, you need to have money to be able to do it. And I mean, so that you could write a check to your church if you wanted to, or so that you could take a vacation and not getting burnt out. Now, saying all this, it's not that you can't donate some of your time or have a session or 2 a week for someone who maybe isn't able to afford your normal rate. But your goal is to really work on your money mindset. It will impact your business almost more than anything else, because your money mindset, or the way that you think about money, or really the way that you're unconsciously thinking about money, overlaps in so many different areas. So it will overlap in these areas. Are you ready? How much you charge, what you're willing to invest into your business. And whether that is hiring somebody like me, a business strategist for people, for women in private practice, or helping women create their practice, build their practice, grow their practice, to reinvest in to advertise, to have nice website, nice branding, like things that are going to show who you are. It's a representation of who you are. So those are just some of it. But also, your money mindset is really affecting your bottom line as far as how much money you're willing to charge. How much are you willing to charge, and how do you say your rate? Are you like, oh my God, this is what I charge? Or do you confidently say what your rate is? So let's back up a little bit. I want you to go back to the number one, or like old school. I want you to write down so that you can have ahas for yourself. I want you to write down what your idea was when you went and got your degrees, your certifications, or whatever. What you wanted. Like, what did you think you wanted, like, to run your business? Like, I want to get on every insurance panel, so I'm the go-to person, whatever that looks like. Or, what was your goal originally for your business and your practice? So then the next step for that is I want you to think about how you've observed other people in your industry and how they've grown their business. And if you can't answer that, that's a clue that you need to do a little research. There's nothing wrong with looking around and seeing what other people in your industry are doing. There's nothing wrong with that. Be a little bit of a stalker. Don't worry about that you're looking to see what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with that. And not that you want to, I'm a believer in there's really no competition. Now, why do I believe that? It's because you and I could have the same exact written script, and I'm going to say it differently than you do. And why is that so empowering? Because then people, I'm going to attract somebody different than you will, even if we say the same exact words. So when I gave you add coaching to your practice, find other practitioners and build a group practice so that you can leverage them. If they're charging $100 an hour for round numbers and you're taking 20% of that, and you had 3 practitioners in your office that were all billing out 20 hours each, that's 60 hours at $100 a pop, or 60 hours times 20%, 6,000 times 20%, that's $1,200, and you haven't even done anything. Right? You haven't even done anything. They're just using your space. Okay, so maybe it costs whatever, $500 to keep your doors open an extra, couple of days where they're using an office. Who cares? What is that? 500 minus 1,200, $700 in your pocket. You haven't done anything. What are you not thinking about as far as leveraging your business or scaling your business, meaning that you have a product that is on autopilot? Every single one of you, I'm going to say that again, every single one of you has a product that you could sell, a digital product. Every single one of you. And it could just be something for $200, but it's using your specialty, and it's going. What if you just sold 5 of those a month? Just 5 $200 products. That's an extra $1,000. What if it cost you though $500? See, this is where your money mindset stuff. Let me throw this out there. What if you could create a $200 product and you created a Facebook campaign or a LinkedIn campaign or whatever marketing advertising campaign that we might come up together if you and I work together, and it costs you $500, and I said it's going to cost you $500 to put advertising in here, and you're like, oh my God, do you want to spend $500 to be able to make, what do we say, 5 a month and sell them at 200 bucks, $1,000, put 500 in, make 1,000. When you say it like that, it's like a no-brainer. But if I said to you now, we need to create a marketing plan, and what number is this? This is 2, don't wing it. We create a marketing plan and we create a system for client acquisition, client marketing, client follower, and it's going to cost this. Would you be like, oh no, I'm not doing that? So can you see how all 5 of these things overlap? 2 things we haven't talked about is specializing. Let me tell you, you will be able to sell that product, that $200 product, so easily if you specialize. If you have something so general like, I treat depression, although some people would think that's, specializing. It is to a point. What if you really said like, I work with postpartum depression. I work with women with postpartum depression. Or I work with grief counseling specifically, with families who've lost children and the depression that comes with that. Or I work with middle-aged men who can't get a job because now they're middle-aged. Whatever. Okay, if you narrow it down. Can you see how there are people out there looking for that? 200 bucks? Easy. All we need to do is create the marketing and the strategy to be able to find them. You're not making more money because people aren't finding you. Your old school way, if you rely just on insurance, they're not all of the potential people are not finding you. Number 5, and then I'm going to give you some action tips in just a minute. But number 5, excuse me, is not getting help. So whenever I work with a potential client, I tell them, be a student and be a client. And one of the reasons I say be a student is to be observant on how I, Mary, run my business. Meaning that if you see me do a sales call or you see me present something a certain way, how am I doing that? Right? How am I doing that? So be a student on how I'm doing things and then be a client. Listen to suggestions and the strategy consulting, etc. So this would be a perfect example if you were in, not necessarily mental health, right? You are in a physical health, like a physical trainer or a PT or OT or anything like that, or a health coach or in health nutrition, you're a dietitian, etc. It's about when you say be a student and be a client. So it'd be a perfect example is if you were a dietitian or and you had a practice where you were teaching how to eat well or be a vegan or what have you, and you were demonstrating that and people could see that. One of the ways that people might be able to see that is you're posting your food on Facebook or Instagram or something like that and marketing that way. Like, hi, see, I teach you how to be a vegan, how to not have a big heart attack, this is what I'm doing. And so you're not just shouting at people, hire me, hire me. You're showing them that you're living the lifestyle. Now, if you follow me on my Facebook or on some Instagram, you'll notice that, I'll put pictures out there like, here I am at my daughter River's school, or here I am going on this vacation. Not to be like, hey, I'm on vacation, but to be like, look, I've created a business that allows me freedom. Because ultimately, that's what my brand is all about. I want to help you build your practice, make more money, make a difference in the world. But it's because I want freedom. So I want to demonstrate freedom. I know that the people that resonate with me want freedom. They want time freedom. So back to getting help. Well, we have to look at return on investment. So when I was saying be a student and be a client, be a student and be a client, meaning when I'm going to talk about these 3 things about return on investment. What is it costing you emotionally not to have your practice as big as you want it to be? Write that down. What does that look like to be under that kind of stress? What does it feel like to be bitchy to your kid or whatever that looks like? You're eating over it, you're upset over it. You have a vision for what you want your business to be like. And if you don't, that's stop this video right now, start with that. Back to the winging it. Don't wing it. Have a vision. Have what I call a crazy big dream. What would it be like emotionally for you to have things running in place, systematized, automated, delegated, so that you are not exhausted and that you are not just putting out fires, running the day to day, undercharging, feeling resentment that you're undercharging. Doesn't that feel better just to even like get that off your chest thinking about it? Write all of that down. It would feel better for me emotionally if my business looked like, write that down. Number 2, return on investment when hiring somebody like me. What would it be like to be able to increase your revenue and make more money? You know, when you hire a business strategist like me, you're hiring somebody that can look into your business, right? That's what you do in your practice. You're able to look in on people's lives and point out, this is the issue. That's what I do with people. I have my own person that helps me, right? Because I can't see it because I'm in it. You're in it. You can't necessarily see it. So imagine what that would be like to have somebody come in and say, this is how you can make more money. What would that be worth to you? Now I know if you're like me, and I have 3 degrees, I had a clinical license, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on my education. It took a long time before I hired my first coach because I was like, come hell or high water, I can figure this out. I've got master's degrees and da-da-da-da. But when I was able to hire somebody, emotionally I felt better. She was able to help me see how I can make more money and help me save time. See, that's what it's about for me. I'm tired. I was tired of wasting time. So I want you to write down, what would it be like emotionally for you to actually have some support, have the business that you want? What would it be like if you could double your income? Like if we could double your income, what would that look like? And when I mean, what does that look like? I mean, what would that look like for your family? What would that look like for your children? What would that look like for you? Part of being a winger, winging it, is not having an entrepreneurial or a business hat on. And this is one of the hardest things I have to explain to people in the helping industry is you must master the art of marketing. And I know you don't want to do it. And I know you don't. Just the thought of like, you have to be a master marketer. Really, all that's saying is like, you have to get to the point where you understand how to convey what you do in a way that somebody's going to buy it. And so hiring somebody like me expedites the time. But let me help you get there, right? So what I want you to do, so you were going to write down emotionally how that feels. Number 2, you were going to write down what it means to actually have the money that you want. And number 3, I want you to write down like, what would you do if you had a spare 10 hours a week? What would you do? What would that look like for you? We're going to go back to the mastering the money mindset now. I want you to write down when I say double your income, I want you to write down right now what happens to you. Do you physically feel it? Emotionally, are you feeling it? What's the chatter in your head? That's your story that you've told yourself. I'm here to tell you, you can write a new story. Number 3, if you had to specialize, like I was going to call you up right now and be like, oh my God, you have to specialize. What is it? What would you specialize in? Like, who would you love to work with? And in case you need a little help around that, what do you already love to talk about? What would you do for free? If I came over and looked at your bookshelf, what would be on there? What feels like a pull for you, a calling, a tug? What would that look like? Number 2, where are you winging it? Okay, I'm going to give you, do you have a plan? So for next year, do you know what you're doing next year? Meaning, do you have talks booked? Speaking gigs? I like to teach people how to grow your practice with speaking. Do you have Facebook ads ready? Are you in LinkedIn groups? Do you have meetup groups? How are you networking? Do you have a referral source? What's your plan? And then how are you going to create a system around that? So in other words, systems look like, do your clients have the ability to reach out to you whenever? Or do they have a calendar?